Those are the four words that are oftentimes the key to true entrepreneurial success. And Dave Hooper, in his book, toward the end of his story, he makes the four words, makes them plain, makes them clear, after several failed attempts. That's right, after several failed attempts. Is that part of the key to true entrepreneurial success? Well, if so, perhaps we need to think more about that and perhaps really get emotionally and spiritually ready for that. I'm Stan Houston. This is the Jesus Entrepreneur Experience because he is the focus of whatever we do and what we say. We may not talk about him all the time, but we always have him as the prime listener and perhaps the person who will make everything we say right and at least hopefully helpful and useful to you. The Jesus Entrepreneur Experience from the Christian Entrepreneur Network. My name is Stan Houston, and indeed we're going to talk about after several failed attempts, and then the media darling of the world, at least in the political world of the USA, AOC. And she's obviously known just by her AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. And perhaps there's even something that we can learn from the success and maybe the failure of that woman. All of that's coming up. The program starts right now. And you are indeed welcome to join us. A podcast, an internet on-demand radio program. Generally, it's very specifically just for you. We oftentimes crank up the intensity because this is not just a casual conversation like you usually hear on radio. It is not just music and musings. What we want to do is we want to have a conversation with some real conviction. That means it's always on the edge. That means that some of you are going to embrace it, some of you are going to ignore it, and some of you are not going to like it. But it's the modern media that you're going to have to understand because podcasting is going and growing. And if you want to be a leader in your business, in your career, and in your entrepreneurial venture, you are going to have to learn how to use the modern media methods. The microphone is going to have to become one of your best friends. And as much as you might hate it, you're going to have to learn how to look straight into the camera eye and make eye contact with people all around the world. That's the way it is. That's the way the world works. And we want to help you make it work just right for you. Hey, once again, my name is Stan Houston. I am the leader of the Christian Entrepreneur Network. Our flagship station here is the Jesus Entrepreneur Experience. By the way, there will be 4 more podcasts coming in the near future, and we want you to be aware of that. We'll be talking more about that. However, just briefly today on this Tuesday evening, after several failed attempts. Now, David Hooper is helping me be better at podcasting. He's had as much experience as I have had about it, and he's been a little more successful at it than I have. I have some things from the past experience in broadcasting that he does not. He has some experience in some real-life work that he has done, and I can help him. And he certainly can help me, and he can help you. And he put together a book of thoughts, and it's a 400-page book. Don't let that scare you, because even though it's 400 pages, it's written in a very different modern media book style. And you'll have to look at the book to see just exactly what that is, because the way blogging and the internet has changed the way people read things, it has also influenced what we will tolerate in terms of the books we will read. One of my friends recently put out a book, and it's written and formatted in an old style, and it's not going to work. It's a good book. It's got good stuff in it, but the picture, the style, and the formatting is not going to work. And I'm afraid to tell him that because he doesn't know that. Well, David knows the difference in formatting for the modern media, and that's what he does. But then in that wonderful statement, after several failed attempts, he has a word of encouragement. Now, what I have discovered in my own life, and my goodness, it's been many, many years since I've had a regular job with a regular paycheck, though I've done a variety of things. And just like St. Paul says, remember, we're Jesus entrepreneurs here. We're on his side. In his letter to the people at Philippi, in which he encourages them in one of my favorite expressions to press on, press on, press on. He says that he knows what it's like to live in prosperity. Yeah. And what it's like to live in poverty. The best of times and the worst of times. He understands feast and famine, and the way he made his missionary mission work is through a business enterprise. And sometimes he did well, and sometimes he did poorly. And he knew what it meant to be an entrepreneur. And that is the experience of most people. In our principles of, and by the way, good shout out to my friend Jim Struve, who simply said, Stan, tell your readers, tell your listeners that you offer the book, the Fully Alive book, the prayer and the 7 power principles for the Christian entrepreneur, and most of them are ignoring it, and they do so poorly, because the 7 principles are really good. That will help people understand the way the world works. You've got it right. Keep doing it. Somebody will listen. Somebody will get it. Well, I hope so, after several failed attempts to make that happen. And principle number 4 is you must take risks. You must do things in which the outcome is not at all certain or even sure, and sometimes the odds are against you. And you will be failing. You will have several failed attempts. Seth Godin, who's a famous entrepreneur, he has kind of the same haircut that I do. He's doing a lot of the same work I am, except that I do it with the SF factor, the spiritual force factor in my teaching. But we have the same haircut. He's a good guy, very smart, very clever, and he's made his millions. But he simply says this: I have started many businesses in my life, and most of them failed. And that's exactly true. But he keeps trying to do work that matters and starting enterprises and projects all the time to see how they work. After several failed attempts. And that's one of the 4 letters, 4 words that I now have for all of you. Press on. You are with God. He will take care of you. He will give you courage. However, if you're looking for a life of much security and much certainty, you're in the wrong business, and literally you're in the wrong faith. Because Jesus says that's not the way it is, both in terms of walking with me, following me, and being with me. You will have troubles. And by the way, there will be times, just as my followers found out after several failed attempts. Just something to think about and remember and pray about and encourage one another, and that's part of the reason we are here, to help people. And we can help you. In my years of broadcasting and personal business performance coaching, I can help you, and I'd be glad to help you make your business work. We have a variety of services, all of them very practical, spirit-led business resources that are better than any MBA, which of course is mostly bad advice. We can help you build a business that matters and makes a difference. Reach out to me at radioedge77@gmail.com, radioedge77@gmail.com. Read my book, please. It's free, and you'll learn something about being an entrepreneur that will be very valuable to you. Hey, we're halfway done, just 10 minutes, and we've got a few more minutes, and we're going to talk about Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. Something she got very right, and we need to think about it. And then just a couple ideas that you need to think about, because maybe she did them well and did them smart. And whether you agree or disagree, she has achieved some things that make a difference. That's coming up. I'm Stan Houston. This is tcenglobal.org/contribute now. Please, tcenglobal.org, contribute now. You are supporting the Christian Entrepreneur Network, and the program will be right back.
Day by day, day by day, oh dear Lord, 3 things I pray: to see Thee more clearly, love Thee more dearly, follow Thee more nearly, day by day.
And, of course, there will be an emotional reaction. Right now, I know that when I put AOC, or Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez, there will be not only a reaction, it'll be probably an emotional reaction. And very few people who are familiar with her and her media and political presence are neutral about her. Obviously, she has many fans, she has many supporters, and obviously she has many distractors. And we will see. She may fail. And her attempt to change the world and to do what she wants to do may fail. It may fail several times. It may be a complete failure. Well, then she'll have to decide what else life and business is calling her to do. But there were some things that I thought were rather fun and important just to point out that might be useful. Because one of them, I'm going to have to agree with her on. One of the statements she made is that we have done too much financialization of the American economy. And I think she's right. And what she went on to explain is that obviously people can make lots of money just because they have money, or because they use money, or they access money. And that's not very good, she says. Well, interestingly enough, many of the things that she supports are financed by George Soros, who is the worst example of that. Simply a man who's made millions and billions not by creating value, but by learning the art of financialization of the economy. And the world is full of people who make money not because they create things or provide useful services. It's because they actually know how to work the money markets. I've been challenging some of my friends who are venture capitalists on whether they are actually trying to help people invest in good things, or are they just trying to help people invest in things that make money. And that's a challenge, and as a result of that, I have developed what I call the 5 kinds of investors. And the ones who do it just for the money are the most prevalent, and they are investors. And the 5th one is called the God at work investors, and there's 3 different kinds in between. And that's a program all by itself. So number 1, well, I'll grant it to her. Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez challenges us to think about the financialization of the American and world economy, and just how right is that? Shouldn't we be rewarding people who create things, who make things, rather than just the people who move the money around? Should hedge fund guys be making all that money? Or is there something maybe wrong with that? That's for you to think about and for you to decide. 2 other things about Alexandra Ocasio-Cortez. I got to give her credit. If you want to be successful, work hard at meeting people. It's called the shoe leather, and supposedly one of the things she has shown up and shown off is the fact that she won this election by just walking all around and talking to people, meeting people. She went from incarnational to digital. She did the hard work of actually meeting people. And the guy, of course, she beat in that primary election, just took it for granted that he was going to win because he always won, and he knew all the systems, and he knew all the friends, and he had all the right things. And she went out and she worked the streets. Just like the people who make a difference in the world, she walked the streets and she talked to people. And I'll just let that lesson sit on your head for a while. Oftentimes the best salespeople are not the people who are good at the phone, who are good at the social media. They just simply are good at caring and talking and meeting and making people feel important. We can all learn that lesson from her. Rightly or wrongly, she also found a sponsor. Supposedly it's her campaign manager, her financial manager, and he has been accused of some financial chicanery himself. Again, her own critique could come right back on her, and that's okay. If we're going to critique a system, perhaps we better be a little more aware of where we are taking advantage of that system, and she needs to learn that too. But as someone once said to me, and I learned it way too late, seek to find a sponsor. Someone who financially, professionally, relationally, in some way will get behind you and who cares enough about you to help you be successful. Try and find in your life and your business and your industry, find a sponsor. And then make sure that you are a sponsor to others. Success comes when men and women, and I believe particularly men and women of God, take the step of sponsoring one another. That's what the network is about. How do we sponsor one another? How do we sponsor each other? How do we sponsor the people who are younger? How do we seek sponsors for ourselves? Men and women of like spirits who will sponsor one another. And that's what she found, and she did it well, and I give her credit for that. So even from AOC, you can learn 3 good lessons. I'm Stan Houston. This is the Jesus Entrepreneur Experience. We're done, but we'll say goodbye when we're right back. As we say, hopefully just about 20 minutes. Kind of like a TED Talk, what it takes, teach about 20 minutes. The average commute, and you can listen to this program and be convicted, and you can challenge me back. We'd love to hear from you, and I'd love to have you on the program. RadioEdge77 at gmail.com, RadioEdge77 at gmail.com. I can help you in some way. Give me a try. Give me a chance. As ABBA used to sing, take a chance on me because I believe I can help you. And we'll be glad to see how that might work out. If this has helped you, tcenglobal.org/contribute now, tcenglobal.org/contribute now. And I would be grateful. And we'll be back with more ways to help you go and grow and make a life and a business that matters and makes a difference as you follow the master entrepreneur. This is the Jesus Entrepreneur Experience, and I thank you. All the best and blessings, true benedictions to you today and this week. Bye for now.